Everyone, before we start, could you all wear headphones so that for our virtual audience, they can be very connected with you all. Can I use this? So everyone, if you could please grab your seats and wear headphones. We're just about to start in a couple of minutes. Of course, here in person with our P4G family, but also to our virtual audience who will be waiting for us. Thank you.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Welcome everyone to our distinguished guests, both here in person, our P4G family, who are meeting for the first time after the global pandemic, and all our P4G family virtually out there.
Recording in progress.
We are here to discuss today an important topic of how we take these commitments that have been made at COP26 from 130 trillion to the discussions about how developing countries can get the 100 billion into market-based partnerships led by developing countries like our brothers and sisters in Ethiopia and Kenya. So today's discussion is about talking about how do we make this happen, P4G as a delivery mechanism to assist this. You'll hear from our partner countries, you'll hear from Jeju, a province who's also doing this at the subnational level, but this is also a celebration for the best partnerships who are winning each of the 5 sector award winners and to celebrate their success. So within this context, the P4G family did come together as a family at the P4G summit virtually in Korea, where we had a very successful P4G summit. And I'd like to thank Ambassador Jenny Kim and the Republic of Korea for your leadership of P4G, Denmark, Netherlands, who have been great supporters from us from the start. And we look forward to celebrating with you the best of the best partnerships, but more importantly, how do we become a delivery mechanism together to deliver on these important market-based partnerships? So on that front, we'll have a little video, a trip down memory lane to May 2021 at the Korean Seoul Summit. Thank you. So as you can see, that was a wonderful trip down memory lane from Denmark and Copenhagen in 2018, where we got off to an excellent foundation. P4G came to life, to 2021, where in Korea we were really globally mainstreamed, both at the highest level with political engagement, but just as importantly in real solutions in our 5 sectors: food, water, agriculture, cities, energy and circular economy. And in 2023 we look forward to having our Colombian as host of the P4G Summit to really show how we can go from high-level convening down to really where the action is in our developing countries. So we welcome that opportunity with you, Nicholas. With that, P4G is a partnership. Denmark and Korea are also a partnership with the Green Growth Alliance, and it's provided a strong foundation. I would like to introduce Ambassador Jenny Kim to make opening remarks and welcome and open this session. Over to you, Jenny.
Dear ministers, excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Korean Pavilion. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to this P4G event that is taking place in a pivotal moment for our planet at COP26. My special thanks goes to the government of Denmark and the P4G Global Hub for co-hosting this event with the Republic of Korea, as well as the government of Colombia and the Netherlands for their invaluable contributions to the P4G initiative. And thank you all, excellencies and distinguished guests, for being here despite your busy schedule with COP negotiations and the limitations posed by COVID-19. The P4G Seoul Summit was truly a landmark, both in terms of Korea's climate diplomacy and the international community's effort to address climate change. Personally, I strongly believe that P4G Summit really significantly contributed to Korea's strategy of net zero by 2050 and very ambitious nationally determined greenhouse gas emission contribution by 2030, which is 40% cut from the level of 2018. If we didn't have P4G in Seoul, it was extremely difficult to come up with such an ambitious plan. So I indeed congratulate the success of the P4G on behalf of Korean government and Korean people. On the global level, P4G Summit adopted the Seoul Declaration, for which the world's 2 largest emitters of carbon dioxide, the United States and China, joined hands for the first time with scores of other developing and developed countries to stop public financing for overseas construction of coal-fired power plants. The P4G Seoul Summit was the first multilateral environmental summit that my country hosted. And we don't see it as just a one-time event. We are building on the momentum created at the summit by pursuing a range of climate actions and green recovery policies. I already shared that Korea's net zero by 2050 strategy and Korea's ambitious NDC are the babies of P4G Seoul Summit. And these include a recent tree planting ceremony held under the field of P4G Summit Forest. So if you visit Korea, you can find the P4G Forest. Not only that, the forest was made as part of Korea's efforts to offset the offset the CO2 emitted as a result of holding the summit, and more importantly, to reinforce our commitment to forging ahead toward the global common goal, 2050 carbon neutrality. For now, the P4G Summit Forest is just full of wild cherry trees, and it will grow into a beautiful forest, and all of you will be welcoming to visit. Korea's net zero by 2050 strategy and ambitious NDC were possible, I repeatedly say, due to the P4G summit. And in addition to that, Korea is one of a dozen countries who codified net zero by 2050 in legislation. Therefore, now in Korean law, 2050 carbon neutrality is there as a national target. So it's a mandatory obligation for Korean government. Whoever is going to be the president or prime minister in the future, it's Korea's duty and Korea's commitment. And also, now not only the central government, but also local governments, they are working together in order to achieve net zero by 2050. Today, there will be, in this event, the Jeju provincial government representatives will be there, will join with us. All Korean provinces, cities, and municipalities, they are now developing their net zero by 2050 strategy, and they are working together to make green transition happen through like renewable energy, green city development, green transportation, energy efficiency, green buildings, and so many other things in green. So I'm very, very pleased that we Koreans are not working, we are working not only with the leadership of central government, but also with the very broad, wide, bottom-up support from local communities. And also P4G Summit really shifted the perspective of many key stakeholders in Korea. If you visit Korea now, you can see the big shift of perspective from business people, because Korea's biggest companies like Samsung Electronics, Hyundai Motors, POSCO, SK Chemicals, all of them, they were quite like energy intensive, so-called fossil fuel dependent companies in the past. But now all of them, they are talking about their green business, their net zero strategy, their future green investment. For example, POSCO, Korea's biggest steel company, that company, only one company is emitting more than 10% of Korea's CO2 every year. But POSCO declared that they don't want to stay as a steel company anymore. They want to become a hydrogen company. So they announced huge investment plan in future hydrogen industry. And also Korea's biggest automobile company, Hyundai Motors, the chairman already declared that that company is stopping producing combustion engine cars in the year of 2030. So big shift you can find. Not only the manufacturing sector, particularly finance sector, I can see huge difference. Whenever I had a chance to meet bank CEOs or managers, now they are seriously thinking where their money is going to put for investment, because they are collecting monies from clients and they invest and they should return the benefits to their clients. And now they are clearly leading the change in manufacturing industry sector. Therefore, I think all those things were possible thanks to P4G Seoul Summit, because P4G Seoul Summit really provided a critical momentum for all key stakeholders in Korea to change the perspective, to think about new opportunity, and to make a very, very proactive action in green areas. So in that sense, I'm very, very happy to be here today, and I'm also expecting that the discussions in this session will provide a great insights not only to Korea but also many partner countries and partner organizations as well. Therefore, I wish all the success of this event, and my thanks again to go to Ian the P4G Hub director, and also strong partners of Denmark, Netherlands, and Colombia, Ethiopia, Zambia, many others, and WRI as well. And then we are happy to work continuously work together with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jenny. And you know, we cannot transform the world if we don't transform ourselves. And I think what you heard from Jenny was the heartfelt really attribution of the whole of economy transformation happening in Korea, not only at the government level as a G20 country, but also with businesses where lots of us have appliances from Korea or drive Korean cars, but also in terms of the mindset. So the only thing, Jenny, that's left is for BTS to write a song about P4G. Okay, so we now have Minister Mortensen. We're part of a P4G family. So I've asked Minister Mortensen as well that if I can be informal as part of a coming together family table to call him Fleming. Fleming, over to you to talk about Denmark and your contribution too. Thank you.
I will just take it up and say thank you, good friends. It's so nice to be together here, and it's really with great satisfaction that I take the floor here today to be a part of the P4G partnership moment here just now. And we are friends. To fight climate changes, we have to work together, and we do. Governments, industries, civil societies, citizens across the globe. This is why partnerships are an essential opportunity for action, for climate and for development. This is the essence of P4G. Climate action and development brought about by the right political decisions and strong partnerships between our countries and between sectors. I speak from my heart and from experiences. Partnerships are the backbone of Denmark's green journey and green success. From the start of our wind energy adventure back in the 1970s to our current national 70% reduction target, an ambitious target driven by the government and 13 climate partnerships with all parts of the Danish business. Just as we have shown the way at home, Denmark has the ambition to lead the way internationally. This is also why we are strongly engaged in P4G. We will contribute to the creation of innovative partnerships with civil society, the business community and public authorities to accelerate green investments and innovative solutions centered on developing countries' own priorities. Now it's time for action, for partnerships that promote inclusive and sustainable development and create decent jobs in developing countries. It's really needed. Through partnerships, we must be ambitious and deliver results that lie far beyond what any of us could do alone. Act now for our green future, and we have to do it together, and create jobs, education, and hope for young people in developing countries. Thank you very much, P4G. Thank you very much, friends, for being together here today. I really enjoy.
Thank you very much, Fleming, and it's great to hear again very practical, not only ambitious targets, but really industry transformation sectorally, and even between Denmark and Korea. The wind industry there, Korea trying to build the world's biggest wind farm is practical operations. We hear in COP targets, ambitions, commitments, but what we're hearing here today is how that needs to happen through industry transformation and real projects that are actually happening on the ground. And that last point that Fleming said is so important. We want to see those jobs and investment really happen in our developing countries in P4G, and we'll hear from people like Commissioner Biene, Dr. Muya, Minister Lam from Bangladesh, amongst others, of how we want to do that. So I'd like to then also introduce Kitty from Netherlands, who's an old friend of P4G as well, to really talk about Netherlands and your priorities. Over to you, Kitty.
Thank you, Ian. And for those that don't know my background, this does feel like a family reunion. I've lived for many years in Ethiopia, and I see my good friend, the minister from Ethiopia. I see my former colleagues from WRI. I see my old friends from P4G. So this is coming home, and it's coming home to a phenomenal group of friends that want to lead by ambition and that want to inspire for a new future. Thank you, Korea, for hosting this event. And thank you for just showing that movie. Now, I don't know who paid close attention to the movie that was just shown, but I think that sort of showed you the who's who in the world. And the who's who in the world are contributing and committing with aspiration, with action and ambition to P4G, and to realize what we committed to 6 years ago, whether that was in Paris or in New York on the SDGs and on climate action. And we see that meanwhile, we're not delivering on what we have promised. We are not giving out a future that is building on a life of dignity for poor people. That is my job as the Director General for Development Cooperation. It is looking not just at climate transformation, it is not just about buying in the private sector, it is making sure that we leverage all that good so that poor people that did nothing to deserve this will have a better future than we're giving them at present. That's what I see P4G doing right now. I loved what you said, Ambassador Jenny, that P4G was a delivery mechanism of the net zero strategy for Korea. Which initiative can say that they have enshrined in a law net zero ambitions by a country that is a G20? Tell me which initiative can copy that, and I'll offer you a bottle of champagne. There are very few that can do that. Why? Because P4G leverages the power of the diverse stakeholders in this partnership. Yes, it is government commitment, but it's also very much the private sector and their transformation. They're seeing that they're losing the future if they do not transform. That is what you buy into, that is what you deliver. And so for us, for the Netherlands, P4G really is a delivery mechanism. And it's a delivery mechanism to get us to scale in the last 8 years that we have to keep a future of 1.5 degrees within reach. And if there's anything I want to say here, it is not how much I love P4G, but it's how much all of you should love P4G, how much all of you should start funding P4G, how much all of you should start to commit to work with P4G to deliver that future of human dignity in all countries around the world, and we can still do that. I think almost now over 60 or 70 partnerships by now, and I think sometimes the sky is the limit. But maybe let's when we think of the sky is the limit and are they going too fast, too far, let's be inspired by Michelangelo, one of my favorite artists. May sound a bit strange in this very artful environment, but he always said the greater danger for most of us lies not in setting our ambition too high, in setting our ambition too high and falling short, but in setting our ambition too low and meeting the mark. We can simply not deliver broken promises for people that did nothing to deserve this future. So I hope that with the inspiration of Korea, who knows what is for the next host? Not just a law on net zero enshrined in your constitution, but what else will you lead together with P4G for a greener future, because it's much needed. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Kitty, for raising the bar. And really, I think your last point is a really important one, which is we want to talk about it, but more importantly, we want to do it. And we have our colleague and family friend from Colombia who will be hosting us in 2023, and that will be our litmus test. I think not just only for P4G, but for the world. How are we delivering? It's not by coincidence that we have developing countries leading COP27, G20 next year, and then hopefully it's a drumbeat, Nicholas, to what we want to show in Colombia on the ground, because that's what matters most. Over to you, Nicholas.
Good afternoon, and thanks so much for the invitation. I'm so inspired and touched by everything said here. So I'll make sure not to disappoint. And I have to open, of course, making a remark that when Presidents Iván Duque and Moon Jae-in dreamt of bringing Colombia and Korea together, and you might know that Colombia and Korea are in opposite sides of the Atlantic, I guess they, on their wildest dreams, never even dreamt of having them next to each other. Turns out we're neighbors on the pavilion, and we're also inviting you. We're right next to each other to talk about success. A thing that probably we didn't even plan. But on that end, I think I want to speak and highlight, of course, the participation of other partners here, and to mention how the summits that have been held and the stewardship that P4G has shown has been a true inspiration. We know that on the Seoul summit, impromptu, we ended up dealing with the worst crisis that probably we've seen in our lifetimes. And it became an inspiration, what it was said there for Colombia, saying that this was a time of crisis, but also a time of opportunity. And it was clear, the message. It was unequivocal in making the case that we needed to take this opportunity to promote a green recovery. Recently, a report conducted in Latin America showed that through that inspiration, Colombia has managed to invest above the average on the Latin American region on the recovery for green finances and a green recovery. So I think talk about effectivity, talk about inspiration. I think those are the kinds of results that we committed to and that we are looking to inspire to different continents. So that also talks about the need to scale this up, to have new countries, to have more funding, to have more partnerships. I think that is truly important, and we commend the leadership of our partners, and we look forward to developing this further. Now, it is important to see also how this inspiration on having an alignment with the SDGs, the 2030 agenda, has heavily impacted and is related very tightly with our climate action commitments. So we have also been inspired by that kind of leadership. And for that reason, as you might have heard already many times, as proudly our president was speaking in many events during the World Leaders Summit, Colombia committed to a reduction of 51% of greenhouse gas emissions. And we did that only emitting 0.6% of the greenhouse emissions of the world. But we know that we need to do this together. Colombia, as we've been negotiating in the other rooms, has shown that the planet is one planet and is not a matter of developed countries and developing countries. We need to lead by example, and that's the thing that we're trying to do. And we are only able to do that with the supports and partnerships that have been developing in P4G. And we see that in specific items. We've managed to become the highest selling country of electric vehicles of Latin America. We've managed to do that also by going from 0.2% of our power grid coming from renewables to 14% that was just auctioned three weeks ago. So these types of things, and I think the additional item that I'd like to highlight is the fact that through the technical partnership that we've developed, I've seen it myself, how a fluid relationship goes, talking with the planning ministry, talking with the Agriculture Ministry, talking with the Mines and Energy Ministry, and that I think is extremely important to highlight. I want to close saying that we are really eager and looking forward to hosting the third summit. And we're doing that not just getting ready to be great hosts, and we Colombians have a fame for being good hosts, but also by delivering results. And I was very pleased to hear, Vice Minister, in Korea how you are putting legislation to make the commitments binding. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. With my team, with the leadership of Minister Correa, with the leadership of President Duque, as we speak, we're passing legislation to make not just the percentage of reductions that is within the framework of the UN Convention, but we're putting legislation that includes specific targets for sectors and specific mechanisms that will make the whole proposal legally binding. In this piece of legislation, we've included goals such as the 51%, but also carbon neutrality to 2050, but also zero deforestation by 2030, amongst other very important measures. So we're truly hoping, as we were flying here, I received a very happy text message on the plane about to take off, and that was that piece of legislation passed the first debate, and we're planning to have it ready by the end of the year. So I think that's going to be an important landmark. I think this will allow us to show the kind of leadership and stewardship that we're looking to give as P4G country members. And 2023, Colombia will be there, we'll work together, we'll gather the heads of states, and we look forward to the most impactful summit and to develop and showcase the partnerships and coalitions that P4G is known to do. So we look forward to leveraging the P4G platform on the Colombian summit and to share and replicate not only Colombia's, but all the countries' leaderships and commitments to raise the bar, to show results, and to keep in track with the SDG agenda and also with the Paris Agreement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. I mean, it's a great example of a country setting a high target. And I think what we have in bringing this together of the end of this session is how can we bring electric mobility that Colombia has put itself out there, but can we bring Korean battery technology? Can we bring Danish industry sector agreements? Can we bring Dutch expertise on where to create that charging infrastructure in places like Amsterdam on your terms in Colombia, so that we show that this ambition will be met with investment, will be met with technology, but on your terms in Colombia. And that's what we want to look forward to in 2023, is how we can do that together. So thank you very much, Nicholas. Thank you to our P4G champions. It's now time to actually move outside of our P4G bubble and family to really see where are we. We're in Glasgow, we're in the UK COP26, and it's great to hear from the UK COP26 team and Simon Sharp about what he sees, what's happening around in COP26, but just as importantly, where can P4G and initiatives like us contribute to what the UK is trying to do. Over to you, Simon.
Thank you so much. Thanks to Korea for hosting this discussion. They've been really inspiring talks already. I've been inspired sitting here. And that's a testament to what a strong partnership P4G clearly is. When we came into our COP presidency, the context we looked at was one of an enormous need to go faster, not just slightly faster, but massively faster. To meet the goals of the Paris Agreement, we need to decarbonize the global economy roughly 5 times faster over the next decade than we managed over the last 2 decades. That's in terms of emissions per unit global GDP. And the more we looked at it, the more we thought that partnership and collaboration has a central role to play in that acceleration. The IPCC describes what we need to do as rapid and deep system transitions in the global economy. And if you want to move a system, you need to work with the different people who are all the parts of that system. And so when a year ago the COP president set out his speech, his 4 goals of what he thought COP26 should achieve, 3 of them were the goals of the Paris Agreement: mitigation, adaptation, finance. The 4th goal was collaboration, enhanced international collaboration. And he said that not because collaboration is a nice word, because it sounds friendly, but because it's serious, because that's what we need to move faster. And I'll mention 3 ways in which we think that's a very serious and practical reality. One is to do with policy assistance. We know that strong policy can accelerate innovation, cost reduction, investment, all of the things we need. To give one example, in the UK we put in place strong market creating policy for offshore wind. When we started that, the economists said we were crazy. Within 10 years, the cost of offshore wind had come down by 70%, and it's now cheaper than gas in the power sector. It's not just subsidy free, it's negative subsidy. The industry generates clean power and gives money to the government and the citizens. Thank you very much. What that tells us is you help countries put in place the right policies, they will also enjoy those kind of benefits. And through COP26, one of the groups we've been working with is called the Energy Transition Council, and that is helping countries put in place the most effective policies to mobilize investment in clean power and increase energy access and get away from coal power. So practical assistance for policy reforms can have an enormous effect. The second thing, which is often overlooked, is the effect of aligning our efforts on economies of scale. All of the clean technologies, the wind, the solar, the batteries, the hydrogen electrolyzers, many more, they all have the same relationship between deployment and cost. The more we deploy, the more the costs come down. It's from learning, it's from innovation, it's from economies of scale. And there was a study recently from Oxford University which showed that in a fast global transition, clean technologies could be up to 75% cheaper by mid-century than they will be in a slow transition. Crucial point is we can only achieve that fast transition together. So in a sector like zero-emission vehicles, electric vehicles, those costs will come down much faster if the major markets align their regulatory trajectories, push investment and push the costs down. So that's a second thing we can do, and that can go together with the practical assistance for things like installing charging infrastructure in developing countries. The third thing is that in some sectors we do need level playing fields. And to give one example, I'll talk about sustainable commodities, the kind of commodities that currently are responsible for a huge amount of deforestation. There are countries like Colombia which are leading the way in producing these commodities sustainably without deforestation. We need to create level playing fields so that the whole global market wants those sustainable products, and the farmers producing them gain the full benefits from them. So practical assistance, coordinated deployment for economies of scale, level playing fields where they're needed. Those are the serious practical ways that we can make progress faster together. On the second day of COP at the World Leaders Summit, over 40 countries showed their agreement to that vision by putting their names to the breakthrough agenda. And this said, we will work together to make clean technologies and sustainable solutions the most affordable, accessible and attractive option in each of the emitting sectors before the end of this decade. That's a vision, that's a mission statement. It's something that we can all aim for through all of these networks, all of these different kind of coalitions that we have. I'm delighted that Korea is a partner in that. Korea has often been ranked as the most innovative country in the world. And so it's a real honor for us to have you among those countries as part of that effort. We need all of your creativity, commitment and collaboration. P4G, as we've heard, is already successful. Ambassador Jenny Kim talked about ending international coal finance, which was something where P4G played a leading role. And it didn't just stop there, it went on. That became the consensus at the G7 and then the G20. And so effectively we've now done that. Globally, we've ended international public finance for new coal power. We now have to work even harder together to scale up the clean power more quickly. So I thank you for that leadership and look forward to working with you going forward.
Thank you very much, Simon, and it's great to get that perspective from a COP26 perspective. In P4G, we have this saying that we really appreciate this high-level political engagement. You can see in the session today, these leaders and champions speak for themselves. But just as importantly for P4G, the lifeblood of P4G is our partnerships. And in what Simon said, there is a race. It's a race for green industrialization, and that's the race we want to be part of. And so what you now see as we switch to the next section, which is about celebrating the best of the best partnerships, and what I call our green unicorns, who, you know, when you talk about Tesla 15 years ago, no one would have thought that the electrification of transport would be a phenomenon that is now. If you talked a bit further, and this is showing my age, 30 years ago, and you said a smartphone would replace everything you do with a landline, people would have said you were crazy and you could work virtually to do this. So what is the next smart green unicorn in the next 15 years? I have the pleasure of asking Fleming to be our master of ceremonies to really bring our green unicorns in P4G together. And to all of you virtually, it's now your chance to share in who those green unicorns are. Fleming, over to you.
Thank you. Somebody has to be very excited just now. And it's really a great honor to present the 4th P4G State of Art Partnership Award 2021. The P4G and the supported partnerships have come a long way in a very short time. I'm pleased to see the enthusiasm and results generated by the notion of public-private partnerships. The nominated partnerships selected from the competitive global application process are found within the 5 P4G sectors: food and agriculture, water, energy, cities, and circular economy. All these partnerships are outstanding examples of innovative and sustainable answers to challenges in these key 5 sectors. They have demonstrated success with measurable impact that are contributing to the more sustainable world. I also want to thank each member of our panel who participated in the selection of the 5 P4G state-of-art partnerships. The 5 finalists selected are Better Circle, No Hunger, SDG 2. And the second one, Netherlands Water Partnership and Kenya's Innovative Finance Facility for Water, Clean Water and Sanitation, SDG 6. And thirdly, CFI 2030 Chichu, Affordable and Clean Energy, SDG 7. And fourth, now it's a little bit difficult for me, Societa Hypotecaria Federal, SHF, Sustainable Cities and Communities, and that is SDG 11. And the fifth one, Closing the Loop on Textile Waste in Kenya, Responsible Consumption and Production, and that is SDG 12. Each of the 5 state-of-art sectorial winners will shortly introduce themselves, and we have given them about 1 minute.
So I think I'm up first. Thank you very much for the warm introduction, Minister. As mentioned, my name is Simon Hazel, and I'm the CEO of Inseco, one of the partners at BetterCycle. In a nutshell, BetterCycle converts organic waste from across the supply chain into insect protein that is a nutritious and environmentally sustainable alternative to conventional proteins such as fish meal and soybean meal. The partnership helps public and private sector stakeholders manage their organic waste more efficiently, diverting it from landfill and upcycling it into sustainable protein and fertilizer that are then used in livestock production, livestock and crop production. At present, BetterCycle is currently diverting 40,000 kilograms of food waste from landfill every day and converting it into approximately 80 tons of protein and 240 tons of fertilizer. In so doing, on an annual basis, over 5,000 tons of wild-caught fish remain in the ocean, and over 1,300 tons of CO2 are prevented from entering out. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I'll go next. My name is Joseph Murabula, speaking from Nairobi. I represent the Netherlands Water Partnership, Kenya Innovative Finance Facility for Water Partnership. Happy to be here, and good morning and good afternoon, wherever you may be. The NWP Key for Partnership addresses a crucial challenge. Kenya, just like its neighbors, faces a water security crisis. There's just not sufficient water for all our needs. This is basically made worse by climate change, and even worse, the huge financing gap that we find ourselves in Kenya. Public finance is basically not enough to address the water needs. So what do we then do as KIFA? We try to address this challenge by developing bankable initiatives as a way of bringing in the private sector. We do this by co-developing water initiatives by people with good concepts to ensure that there will always be good projects and therefore sufficient water for our needs in the future. Over the last 4 years that we have existed, we've supported 9 initiatives, all of them with a direct climate adaptation or climate mitigation impact. In addition to creating about 1,700 direct jobs, we expect that our initiatives will add an additional 12.5 million cubic meters of water to the national water pool, an additional 16 megawatts of clean energy to the energy pool of Kenya, as well as provide improved sanitation to about 176,000 people. We also expect that we will add an additional 37,000 acres of land to under irrigation as a way of supporting efforts to promote food security, and as well as support government institutions in terms of planning and water use allocation. So because of all this, we are pretty happy to be part of the COP26, and certainly very, very happy to be part of the P4G State of the Art Awards. I thank you, and may God bless you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Sociedad Hipotecaria Federal, we are deeply honored and grateful to have been selected as sector winner for the SDG 11 Sustainable Cities and Communities by P4G. This award is testimony to CIF contribution to improving people's lives and tackling environmental change, facilitating inclusive access to financial mechanisms and incentives. Up to date, 80,000 affordable sustainable homes are being built, reducing more than 2.8 million tons of CO2 equivalent and benefiting the quality of life of more than 340,000 Mexican residents. We also thank to our main partners, the German Development Bank, KfW, the German Cooperation Agency, GZ, and the Inter-American Development Bank for their cooperation and support implementing this ambitious sustainable portfolio. Thank you so much. We look forward to accomplish together a better world for everyone. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'll go next. As you've heard, the name of our partnership is called Closing the Textile Waste Loop in Kenya. My name is Kevin Thiongo, based in Nairobi, Kenya, where I support to run our project. Our partnership is between Enview, Upset Textiles, and Purify. So we are solving the problem of post-production textile waste, where up to 20% of fabric is usually lost in off-cast during production. This is waste that usually ends up in the landfills or it's burnt, which contributes to toxic gas emissions. So we have an effective circular waste value solution where we are turning the off-cut waste into valuable feedstock, which is then rejuvenated back to fiber that can be reused in garment manufacturing, which means it's then diverted from the landfills. So far, we have diverted over 100,000 kilograms of textile waste from the landfills. Social equity is also a key part of what we do. So we have currently employed an all-female team of sorters who are all previously unemployed and unskilled, and they're now able to provide sustainable livelihoods for their families. Our call to action and where we'd like you to support us is to build sector-wide collaborations that will enable us to keep tackling this textile waste mountain together. Thank you so much.
And now, it's my distinct pleasure to announce the 2021 P4G State of the Art Partnership of the Year, Circular Economy Partnership. And the winner is Closing the Loop on Textile Waste in Kenya. Congratulations. And yeah.
Thank you so much. Totally unexpected, but just affirms and validates everything we've been doing. Massive congratulations to all the partners, Enview, Purify, our team here in Kenya. So hopefully this motivates us to keep working hard and together build a systematic approach to work on the textile waste mountain together. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and Kevin, you are with us, and congratulations to you and for your very nice presentations. And I'm also very pleased to present directly the sector awards to one of the sectors winning with us here today, and that is CFI 2020 Chichu, Affordable and Clean Energy, and that was SDG 7. So I just have to say once again, congratulations and thank you very, very much for the competition. This is very important to P4G. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Kuman Sub, Acting Director of Jeju Province of the Republic of Korea. Jeju is delighted that Carbon-Free Island 2030 has been awarded the P4G State of Art Partnership Award. This recognition from the international society will serve as motivation to work harder and faster. Jeju is the Green New Deal frontier at the forefront of Korea's greener future. By 2030, we will generate 100% of our electricity from renewables and transform our mobility to a fully green ecosystem. During Paris Climate Agreement in 2015, CFI gained attention for its applicability to 2,400 cities across the globe. Jeju's heart will not stop until carbon neutrality is achieved, and will actively participate in partnerships between and among countries and nations. Thank you.
So this was wonderful to see the green unicorns here and the partnerships really come to life. This is what we were talking about earlier, that how do you bring jobs, how do you bring investment? It's these innovative business models. As you can see, how will they project in the next 5 to 10 years? How can we support with our P4G family, amongst others, to do this? So before we go and move into the important next session, hearing from our developing countries as well, of what do they need on their terms, I'd like to have a P4G family photo. Since the pandemic, we really haven't come together. So to all the speakers here and to who are going to speak, if you could come at the back of here, we'll have our Green Unicorn winners at the back as well. So let's all bring the family together to have one family photo before Minister Mortensen Fleming will have to leave. Thank you very much. Julius, you have to, this is the state of it keeps getting bigger. Annie, come here. Annie.
Okay, we are going to take a group photo. Please look in your camera, please. And okay, I will count 3. 1, 2.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Just give a second, please.
Please.
Thank you.
Okay, now 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Please raise your right hand and we say P4G after I say. 1, 2, 3. P4G. One more, please. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Please sit down here, Julius. Commissioner Vienne, we're having discussion here.
Okay, great.
Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you so much to our green unicorns there. You are all winners. We're here to support you. You're not only here to win awards, but our past winners are people who have become partnerships that we have funded as well. So we just want to thank you all. You offer us a hope for the future of how we bring jobs and investment on terms of developing countries with innovative business models. So really appreciate all of you. We now pivot to a panel discussion. The discussion is really about how we want to bring those jobs and investments in developing countries. I'd like to bring to the stage our colleagues. So firstly, Dr. Julie Smuya, Parliament Secretary of Finance and Treasury in Kenya, to the floor. The other person I would like to bring, if that's okay, is Commissioner Fikadu Biene. Please come and join us here. And then to Yung Hyung Seok, Director General of the Future Strategy Bureau in Jeju, to also talk about the work here. And then we also are able to bring Minister Sharia Alam, who is from Bangladesh, to talk about the work that is being done in Bangladesh, Bangladesh being the chair of the Climate Vulnerable Forums Group. So, firstly, over to you, Dr. Muya. We've had a conversation earlier about what P4G can do and a vision of how we can make P4G partnerships more homegrown partnerships and inspire the next wave of impact and development. So on that note, Dr. Muya, if we can hear from you, Julius, it'd be excellent to hear your perspective as a partner country of what Kenya is looking for from P4G and initiatives like this. Over to you, Julius.
Thank you very much, Ian, and thank you, organizers, for this opportunity. I want first to associate myself with the comments that were made earlier by the speakers who spoke ahead of me. And specifically, I think Simon Sharp said something that was very catching. If I can repeat what Simon, you said about mitigation, adaptation, finance, and collaboration. Those four terminologies or words, they bring to life what P4G is about. Because for us, since Kenya became part of the P4G family, what we have witnessed is an opportunity where the government, the private sector, and civil society can come together in a very elaborate and properly structured collaboration. And I say so because we have witnessed some of the exciting partnerships, like we have called Energize Africa, which helps in the area of energy. We have one what we call Sustainable Special Economic Zones that is structured to support a very organized development within a special economic zone structure. And these have been very useful for us in terms of helping us progress our development agenda. Obviously, we have our fairly ambitious national development framework with our NDCs, which together with the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, and I'm happy to see my colleagues from the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, we have committed that will abate greenhouse gas emission by 32% by 2030. And I see the architecture of P4G is one which is going to help us to be able to achieve our NDCs. Obviously, what we are also looking at is to ensure that our commitments and also our development framework in terms of energy is also enabling us to achieve our development framework for our country. We have got what we call our Vision 2030. And there is where we have very ambitious development goals in terms of having clean energy, affordable energy, stable energy, which is going to enable us to develop especially our manufacturing sector and also other sectors that rely a lot on energy. And so for us in the government of Kenya, we see the P4G framework as a very good ecosystem that enables us to tap into international capital, to tap to international expertise. And I think seeing some of the winners who have come through today, it is a demonstration that P4G is real, it's active, and it can deliver development in developing countries where we are minding the environment in a big way. Obviously, we are looking forward to having more partnerships in Kenya to come through and win more partnerships. And for us, we are looking for a way in which, as we continue to put forward clean development, there can be a business way in which it can be commercialized, it can make sense to business, and that way then you will have the private sector coming in with civil society, working with the government, because the public finances are limited and we cannot expect the government to fund all those initiatives that will lead to reduction in greenhouse emissions and also adaptation and resilience, where developing countries are suffering quite a bit in spite of the fact that our contribution to greenhouse gases is really very low. So I look forward to more engagements, and certainly I'm picking a lot of good ideas that I'm taking home, which we are going to implement. I thank you and wish us a good day as we continue this engagement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Julius. We look forward to building that pipeline of partnerships with you in Kenya. I would now like to pass on to our colleague who from East Africa, from Ethiopia, Commissioner Biene, to share your thoughts on how P4G can support what you want to do in country. Over to you,
Thank
Commissioner
you.
Biene.
Thank you, Ian. Good afternoon. I would like to thank you for inviting me to this panel discussion and also allowing me to share my country experience in making use of P4G as a delivery mechanism in support of implementation of our climate resilient green economy strategy and attainment of our SDGs. Ethiopia is in the middle of implementing its national climate resilient green economy strategy aimed at addressing its climate change actions, development aspirations, and deliver the NDCs. Through its updated NDC, Ethiopia aspires to ensure resilient economic development while decreasing emissions by 68.8% and respond to climate change impacts by implementing 40 adaptation interventions by 2030. On behalf of the Ethiopian government, I'm pleased for supporting implementation of about 10 P4G partnerships in Ethiopia, including, among others, agroforestry for people, peace and prosperity, sustainable food partnership, Energize Africa, GeoFutures, Ethiopian Beverage Alliance for Water, and the Smallholder Solar Pump Alliance that are aligned with Ethiopia's national development priorities and addresses climate change mitigation and building resilience, thereby SDGs. P4G partnerships have been instrumental in engaging the private sectors and the civil society organizations, an area where we were criticized for a long period of time, though our CRG acknowledged its importance. In practice, P4G partnerships support current key development priorities of the country in the energy and agriculture, as well as forest sector, both in terms of practical, innovative ideas, including policy recommendations and actions. Energize Africa, for example, conducted research on investment for decentralized renewable energy in Ethiopia and they shared the result with the Ministry of Water and Energy and other stakeholders, which provided important inputs for the sectoral level transformation of clean energy services with alternative source of financing. The Smallholder Solar Pump Alliance delivered practical, on-ground, innovative energy solutions to our farmers and changed the livelihood of the users of the technology, which later increased the demand of the surrounding farmers for its scale-up. The GeoFutures partnership brings in the country a de-risking mechanism for enhancing geothermal investment opportunities by deploying capital backed by private sector insurance. The partnership has a promising potential to unlock significant baseload power supply from the huge geothermal energy resources to the country and beyond. I'm also pleased to see how P4G partnerships are supporting smallholder farmers, livelihood, and building resilience to the impacts of climate change. Ethiopia is committed to further strengthening the effectiveness of P4G, both by championing on the ground in Ethiopia and expanding its delivery to many of the environmental and climate change goals. I'm so confident in this regard that it's with this spirit that we strengthen our P4G national platform by establishing a unit having a framework for its functionality. In all undertakings, despite the ups and downs, we are learning and moving in the right direction. And our ask is to strengthen positive engagement with continued support to my country's endeavor of green development. Thank you once again for giving the opportunity and also for listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Biene. We are very fortunate to have such strong leadership in East Africa with Julius and you, Commissioner Biene, really bringing that high-level perspective at what country at a national level are needed, but with the practical examples you've given of partnerships on the ground that are aligned with those priorities. With that, we'd like to bring Minister Lam, a good friend, for us from Bangladesh, the Minister for Foreign Affairs. Bangladesh is the chair of the Climate Vulnerable Countries and Forum, and it'd be great to share your perspective, Minister Lam, of how P4G can support you and your country as an example of the future we would like to have together. Over to you, Minister Lam.
Thank you, Ian. Ministers from Netherlands and Kenya and Denmark, and of course the host, the climate ambassador of Korea, Kim, and the panelists, dear friends. Assalamu alaikum, and a very good afternoon to all of you. I'm a little sad that I'm not there physically, but Ian, thank you for making the arrangement for connecting me virtually. I have attended, of course, COP26, but it's now in good hands of our other colleagues, and I'm back in London. Of course, talking about the partnership Bangladesh and P4G, I mean, we have quite a few projects undergoing, and as a country, we're submitting new projects, and as a board member of P4G, we have been given opportunity to share our views, and we were involved in the decision-making process. But at the outset, I'd like to congratulate all the 5 finalists who made this far, and the initiatives that won the award today. So congratulations to our friends in Kenya and Korea as a host, and the words from the Colombian minister for the upcoming P4G, the next P4G summit, is also very welcoming and very encouraging. Now, of course, we all know that we have millions of companies, corporations, and industries, but only one planet with one encompassing climate system. And furthermore, our traditional economic models of production and consumptions are contributing to the climate change, threatening our very existence. And that's what all of you are, or we are discussing, and the whole world is discussing for the last 7 days and next couple of days that's left before we conclude. And this profit-oriented single-use production mechanism without any climate consideration eventually will lead us to the point of no return. And that's the fear, and that's why we're here. It is therefore high time to transform our economic models into climate-friendly ones, considering all the externalities. I was quite excited listening to our Kenyan friends, and I'm very happy to report, and but probably you're aware that out of the top 10 green factories certified by LEED, the platinum category factories, 7 of them are actually in Bangladesh, and we have over 200 gold category factories or facilities in Bangladesh. Now, how I relate that with the livelihood is that we have over 5 million people directly involved in this sector, and obviously that's Bangladesh's livelihood. The entire 160 million people's livelihood is very much dependent on this single industry. Of course, we do have other incomes, but compared to April, it's rest of them are insignificant, to say. As a beat to Bangladesh's commitment to the circular economy, over 30 fashion brands, manufacturers, and recyclers are collaborating with the Circular Fashion Partnership, and that's where P4G comes into play, to recycle and reuse textile waste in Bangladesh. But I'm sure we'll probably have a lot to learn from our Kenyan friends, and we will contact them. And I had a plan to visit Kenya a couple of weeks ago, but had to reschedule that. But I'll make sure that I visit our friend there whenever I'm over there next. And through this partnership, Bangladesh aimed to transit to a circular fashion system by capturing and directing post-production fashion waste back into production of new fashion products. This will change the traditional model of take, make, and dispose into recycling and reusing the textile waste. Of the 2 work stream of partnership, the first one that we have is the circular fashion waste business model. And here the post-production textile scraps are reused for the production of new products. On the other hand, the second one is circular fashion stock marketplace. Here, the solution for the COVID-19 related dead stock fabrics are implemented. When the orders were cancelled, the shops, high streets were closed here in London and in the States and in the European countries. Of course, we were left with huge stockpiles of fabric and raw materials. So that's where the next project comes into play. After the end of the first term of partnership this year, business model and project learnings will be presented in circular playbook for Bangladesh. The partnership is intended to continue and scale beyond this project. I think that's the objective, that we come to play P4G, help organize and help them to take off, and they become startup to unicorn to a large model that other businesses and other industries or even other country can replicate. So that's the plan here as well. And to this end, P4G's finance in scaling up circular fashion initiatives will accelerate our journey to the green textile industry. Manufacturers can benefit immensely from this initiative. Firstly, as far as I'm concerned, they can find the fair market value of textile waste, and secondly, manufacturers can learn how much waste could be traced to reuse or recycle to project circularity to buyers. In the case of brands, and that is where we struggle, me being a manufacturer of textile product in the past, this is one of my favorite topic, is that they can be benefited by decreasing post-production textile waste, and secondly, they can also discover new opportunities for sourcing high-end recycled materials and move towards their internal circularity goals. And for recyclers, the businesses, the solution providers, they can buy pre-segregated textile waste sourced directly from the manufacturer. And when we let's say about manufacturers, it's a $34 billion export industry. So you can imagine Bangladesh is the second largest producer of textile next to China. So directly from the manufacturer to enable greater feedstock control and reduce contamination and increase quality. And secondly, they can source traceable waste with full background data, enabling brands and manufacturers to highlight circularity. Dear friends, to conclude, Bangladesh is striving to be an important actor in circularity by scaling the recycling capacity and generating value from textile waste stream. Using the Circular Fashion Partnership is a springboard of transforming a linear production model into a circular one. Bangladesh is gradually becoming an example of a success story for the circular economy. If we all can make this transformation successfully, we will surely build back better while recovering from the COVID-19 induced shocks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Lam. And it's a great example to us all of what is special about P4G. You could see that the state-of-the-art award winner in 2021 was circular waste in Kenya. You heard from Minister Lam that we have a partnership on circular waste and fashion in Bangladesh that is actually doing this work. This is an example of the cross-learnings from our countries in Bangladesh and Kenya working together to create a new industry. And in that new industry, waste becomes an asset. And where garment industry workers should be at the heart of that new value chain, so that we can do this transparently, we can do this with a focus on jobs and investment in Bangladesh, in Kenya along these terms. And I think the second thing you can see, not only a tangible proof point of the kind of solutions that are coming up within our P4G family, but we're really blessed that these high-level political officials, board members that we have, are so conversant with our work, our partnerships and solutions. It's not often that you go to a COP26 event and you hear the quality of discussion on real solutions from political officials. So we thank the P4G family for that. But we also in the P4G family can learn from best practice, and this is my opportunity to share with Director General Yun the really pathfinding work that you are doing on cities and cities of today for the cities of tomorrow. Over to you, Director General Yun.
Yeah. And thank you, Ian. Yeah. Distinguished members, P4G Secretariat, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm Yun Hyung-seok, Director General of the Future Strategy Bureau of Jeju Province, South Korea. Jeju appreciate the P4G invitations discovering vast networks of public-private partnerships for global green growth. Jeju endeavors to build a carbon-neutral future using state-of-the-art technologies. Since 2009, Jeju is home to the world's largest smart grid complex, the backbone of Jeju's global green growth expansion. Gapado, a small island Jeju, south of Jeju, successfully became Korea's first carbon-free island in 2016. Currently, our private-public partnership is composed of the coalition of 17 partners, including government, ministry, public and private corporations, civil societies, and most importantly, the local citizens of Jeju. Jeju's ambitious target to reach 100% renewables is driven by creating a new waste-free circular economy and new green jobs, focusing on universal access to energy and mobility. Our electronic vehicles run on harnessed solar and wind power, and we are the first in Korea to ban the legislation of internal combustion engines beginning in 2030. Jeju's dream of building a world-class sustainable city is propelled by 1. Conserving Jeju's nature and water resources. 2. Encouraging smart and green mobility. And 3. Creating an efficient energy grid fully supplied by renewables. A decade ago, Jeju raised the fastest towards a carbon-free island. We invite the international community to our coalition to overcome the climate crisis by achieving the 5 pillars of P4G's global green growth. Once again, Jeju immensely appreciates the partnership with P4G in building a global-scale green growth alliance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director General Yoon. It's a really good example of how this change is not only between country to country, but a very good example of city or subnational level to city to subnational level. This is the way we want to see scale happening at multiple levels across private sector, across industry, across governments, at multiple levels. So thank you very much for that, Director General Yoon. We now come near to the close of this session. How do we bring this all together? What are the reflections that people have both within the P4G family, but also others about how we can support other initiatives out there here in COP26 and beyond in the work we do? I'd like to introduce Ani, the President and CEO of World Resources Institute, also the host of P4G in Washington, D.C., to really reflect on what you are seeing in terms of the work that P4G is doing. Over to you, Ani.
Thank you, Yan. Jenny, thank you for having us here. Can you hear me? Thank you for organizing it, and very inspiring, all the things you have said. As Ian said, my name is Ani Dasgupta. We have absolute pleasure and the distinct privilege to host this hub at WRI. I just want to say, it's impossible to say interesting thing after you've heard so many interesting things. So I just want to say 2 words of thanks. One, today is a pretty important day. Today is the first day of the second week of the negotiations. This is when it gets really hard and really difficult. And I just want to say Jenny is the lead negotiator for Korea. She's here with us. And I want to thank all the negotiators, Jenny, not just you, for all the hard work you're going to do next, is to bring, COP is the biggest partnership of all. How all countries can come together and solve our greatest existential challenge. I think P4G, after you guys have agreed what you will do, each country will do, P4G is about delivering on that promise. It's about not just the commitment, but how do we develop solutions in every country of the world to get the outcome we want. And it's clear to us, clear to everyone, I think, who looks at any number, this outcome of a greener, better, not just greener, better, that's better for economy, better for nature, better for people, is possible. All the science says that is only possible if different parts of society, public sector, private sector, political sector, civil society work together. These are the examples you have seen, and that's why P4G is so important. It is not possible to get from where we are today to a greener economy that we need. The gap is about $1.5 trillion. So Simon and his governments, all of its money will not add up to $1.5 trillion, right? The development assistance today is about $300 billion across the world. So we need private sectors to come work with public sector to solve this problem. And P4G finds the solutions, finds the proposals, finds how and where we can build locally built solutions that's relevant to different countries to get this investment. So my only request is not only I hope you have a restful evening. That's my one request. But next time you talk to your friends, family, in the cocktail parties you're going to go to next, talk about why everyone should join P4G. But without this partnership and homegrown solution that P4G supports, we were not going to get to the outcome we want. That's what we need, and I really, Jenny, thank you so much for having us. And Ian, fantastic job. Congratulations to all of you, and I hope you all have a great evening. Thank you, evening.
Thank you so much, Ani. And it's really important that P4G is something that can catalyze others, but also can learn and be part of that broader ecosystem. And within that context, I'd like to introduce Nicole from USAID to share your perspective from the United States of how you're looking to build back better and greener too. Over to you, Nicole.
Great, thank you very much. So as stated, I'm Nicole Burrows. I'm the Deputy Assistant Administrator at USAID for Policy, but I'm also dual-headed as the current head of the Budget Office. So you might wonder why Administrator Power sent her budget geek to come to COP this year. Well, it's because she set out with our president a lot of very ambitious targets related to climate. I think this week she talked about our goal to support 500 million people to adapt to climate impacts and reduce emissions by 6 billion tons by 2030. We released our climate strategy, a draft climate strategy for external consultation, and I hope you all take a look at it and give us some feedback. We also have set plans to align USAID's programming with NDCs, national adaptation plans, and partner country climate policy priorities in at least 80 countries, and to demonstrate measurable progress in at least half of those by 2030. So as the person in charge of looking at all of these strategic investment choices, it was a real pleasure to be here today and to listen to P4G's progress, to listen to all of the various investments that you all have made and the successes that we've seen. But moving forward, with all of the challenges we have ahead of us, we know that private investment is not at the scale we need to tackle the problem. And we know that the public financing is also not at the scale we need to tackle the problem. We have to work together. In 2019, developed countries contributed $80 billion for developing countries, of which about 14% came from the private sector. It's not bad, it's not good enough. USAID is working to make investing in climate solutions more appealing, including reducing risk and supporting new innovative finance instruments. For example, we're launching the new Green Recovery Investment Platform, which aims to leverage an investment of $250 million to attract $3.5 billion in private sector financing to address the climate crisis over the next 3 years. We want to work with the private sector investors to shift financing flows to low carbon and resilient assets while ensuring a just transition in the markets we work in. This isn't business as usual, however. We need a paradigm shift. And we recognize that, and we've heard that directly from Administrator Samantha Power. How we'll do that? First, we have to make sure that private sector investors view investment opportunities in nature to ensure that they're centered around sustainable development. Second, we need a shift in how public and philanthropic investors engage to catalyze private capital for nature climate solutions and adaptation needs. Finally, multinational corporations and investors, like governments, need to do more than simply announce commitments to accelerate their transition to financing low carbon assets. We need to walk the walk as well. So there's a lot of opportunity for us all to collectively support innovations that may not be the immediate winners, but are strategic investments that have the potential to pave the way for transformative solutions to meet our targets. So I look forward to working together with all of you for tackling the climate crisis that presents a more resilient, sustainable, and just world. Thank you very much for having me here today.
Thank you very much, Nicole. And it's really important, that point of catalyzing private sector investment with that pre-commercial stage, with using that development capital, but really unlock that at the start. So you can hear very, very strong themes about how we really want to build market-based solutions. They have to be investable business models, but they really need to be anchored in our developing countries to create jobs and investments. So we now come to the end, back as a P4G family to Jenny. Jenny, you are our co-chair of P4G and our steward over the next 2 years. You've heard people's reflections. It'd be great to see the path forward. And thank you again for being such a wonderful host, and to the Republic of Korea for hosting the P4G family event in person, which is wonderful.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you very much for everybody staying all by the end of this event. I really thank to the Minister from Ethiopia, Commissioner from Ethiopia, Vice Minister from Kenya, the Jeju Special Province Government, and also the WRI, USAID, UK Presidency, and many others. Thank you very much. And also the Green Unicorn Group are the future billionaires. Yes. So today at this event, we exchanged inspiring ideas, experiences among government, business, local government, and also civil society as well. Therefore, it means P4G is indeed on very comprehensive and inclusive partnership, inviting everybody on board. And we shared wonderful stories P4G delivered and achieved in the year of 2021. But this is not the end of the story. We keep going, we keep working together, and also we keep being more innovative, more inclusive, and more proactive in providing market-based solutions. If I pick up two very representative numbers in the COP negotiation room, one is 1.5 and the other one is 100 billion. Everybody is talking about 1.5 degree ambition within reach. It's clear we all share that ambition. We are all working together to achieve 1.5 degree within reach ambition. And the other number, 100 billion, people are confronting each other. But if we think about the green transition, if we really want to achieve green transition, 100 billion is such a small amount of money. We need $1 trillion for new investment to achieve green transition. And in order to achieve the green transition, we indeed need private sectors on board. And P4G is working for that for next year as well. Therefore, I really thank you, everybody, for coming today. And this is an excellent opportunity to reconfirm our commitment to work together for the target of 1.5 degree within reach, and also $1 trillion investment in the future to make green transition happen. Thank you very much. I wish all the success of UK COP26 and also the rest program of this conference. I wish you all the best to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jenny. That concludes our event. But as people said, this is just the beginning of the next chapter. Kitty said it, raise the bar, set that level high, but we've got the foundation here for how to scale together. And as we always say, we're always better together. So thank you, Jenny. Thank you all for your wonderful participation and virtually as well. Take care.